When you're able to set your sights on other dreams than the job, then you're able to put your job in the right perspective that it's not the end. Welcome to episode number 26 of the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your host. In today's episode, I want to talk about starting with the end in mind, setting your vision and working backwards. In these past series of episodes, I've been talking about dealing with imposter syndrome, creating contentment or peace in the midst of everything. And today I want to talk about why it's important to continue to dream. Have you ever, or are you currently at a place in life where you feel like it's life is at a crossroads? You've spent years getting your education, getting your training, going for different positions and promotions. Maybe you've been at one job for years, or maybe you've been at different jobs, and you just feel like something inside is just telling you there's got to be more. Yet you just feel like, wait a minute, I've spent all of these years working toward this particular goal. How do I even start to think about what I'm going to do? Or maybe it's been not necessarily by choice, but because of some series of things that have happened in life, that you find yourself at that crossroads and you feel stuck because the narratives that you believed, where you thought you would be forever, the rules seem to change. You thought you understood the rules at work of how things were working, but they changed. We talked about it last episode about seeing behind that wizard's curtain, the Wizard of Oz. So maybe you're there and you're just not happy. Your spirit's not happy. Because that's really what the feeling of being stuck is. It's just if you were satisfied with that situation, then you wouldn't care. You wouldn't feel anything. But the reason you feel stuck is because you know that you have more to give. You know you want to do more. You don't want to have any regrets in life. And there is a stirring in your spirit that's telling you you can't stay where you're at. Have you ever felt that way? I know I have. There was a time at which, as I was going through my journey, and I've spoken to you about this before many times, that I had blinders on. I just was pushing ahead. I was working my plan, right? I was working my plan. I hadn't stopped to consult to God to really give him a chance to answer. I'd say, Lord, what do you want me to do? But I wouldn't wait for the answer. I just jumped right in trying to work my plan. And I was ignoring all of the signs he was saying that, Phyllis, you're trying to stay where I'm trying to move you from. I'm trying to move you, Phyllis, higher, and you're still trying to stay here. I'm trying to move you to your higher calling and goal that I've created you for, and destiny and purpose that I've created you for, but you're still trying to stay right here. And when life hit a crossroads. I was just like, what? All of the narratives that I had told myself, the rules that I felt I was playing by, playing that role no longer applied. For the first time in my life, I did not know what the next step was. I did not have some degree to go for that was going to, I could jump into and get all engrossed in. I had hit a crossroads. I didn't know. And then God began to speak to me and tell me and remind me that where I was in life was not the period. It wasn't the end. It was just a part of my journey or a comma in my journey. I know you were going through the same thing. I see you. I hear from you, and you're not alone. There are many of us who have, as women, professionals, tried to play by the rules. If you just play by the rules, you're going to get promoted, and then you go to here, then you go to there, and then the rules change. Sometimes the rules just change because of human activity, people doing things. But often it's because, as I even spoke about last episode, that God is trying to move us where he needs us to go. And when you're at that crossroads and when you have put yourself so you could be still and hear what God is saying, and when God tells you, okay, I'm going to do a new thing in your life, and now you're ready to move forward. What do you do? What do you do now? God has told you that he wants you to do a new thing. Now, don't do what Phyllis used to do. I used to satisfy my craving for the next new thing or the next goal by trying to create a new thing. Some people stress eat, some people overcommit, take on more work. Some people try to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders so that they can feel like they're valued and they're needed. I don't want you to do that. I want you to start with the end in mind. Where this comes from is the very famous, outstanding Stephen Covey, who's passed away. And he wrote the series of the 7 habits of successful leaders, successful families. He did one for teens. And one of his 7 principles was starting with the end in mind. And that means to step back and start with where you want to go. Get that first, and then you can figure out the steps. And that's what I recommend to you is once you have a chance, as we talked in the last episode, to get still and let God talk to you. Take you out of it and truly ask God to show you what he has for you to do. It may be that it could be a dream that you always wanted to do, but you didn't know how to do. It could be you had a dream that you said, well, there's no way I can make a living doing that. So I'll just stay in this safe job and just stay here. Maybe there's a dream that Yeah, maybe you'll have to do some work. You'll have to put in some work. Maybe it's starting your own business. But sit with that dream. Don't sabotage your dream. Don't start with why it can't work, what we often do. Because you know that's Satan. Satan comes here to destroy. So he's going to tell you every reason why you can't do it. And we're going to talk about in the next episode the importance of community, because sometimes people in your community can be the barrier because they want to tell you why you can't do. But get quiet with God, and once he gives you the answer, or at least gives you an overview of the direction that he wants you to go, don't get caught up on all the reasons why you couldn't do it. It's too late. How much money am I going to need to do that? How am I going to do that? How am I going to wake away? Create your dream and your vision. Envision what do you want your life to look like? Allow yourself to dream. Often us women, when we dreamed when we were younger, but once life starts happening and we take on more responsibility, we help push the dreams and help fulfill the dreams of other people, but we don't do it for ourselves. We feel guilty often when we think about ourselves. But I am giving you the permission, because you cannot stay stuck, sis. I'm not going to let you stay stuck, because remember I said the feelings of being stuck is because you've outgrown where you are. So now we have to look at, how do we get to the other side of being stuck? How do we get to the other side of that hill? And sometimes it can feel like a mountain. Sometimes it can feel like you're on one side of the canyon, but I want you to give yourself permission to dream. Maybe you have multiple dreams. Have you thought about that maybe you want to write a book? Maybe you always wanted to, as I said, start a business. What is that dream? What is that dream? And then once you have it in your vision, that's where you want to work towards, then you can come back and start breaking down the steps to get there. Don't overthink it. Take it one step at a time. And I know I'm a witness, because there was that point where God, I've told you several times, God had to get my attention. And when he did, I said, Lord, what's next? And you are a part of my what's next, because God told me, he told me years ago that he wanted me to use my voice for him. He has created me to love people, and I've always wanted to help people. And for over 20 years, I helped people through the practice of medicine and ministry. And now he wants me to go a further step into coaching and empowering Christian women who wear all the hats for everyone else, to make sure that they take care of themselves and that they make sure to dream their dreams and fulfill their purpose and live a life of joy with no regret. It has had its scary moments, yet I started with the end in mind. of wanting to have the opportunity to coach, to mentor, and uplift Christian women. And then I started to look at what steps would it take to get there. You have a dream. You've had a dream, you have a dream. And often life, responsibilities, duties, roles, we often will put that on the back burner or thinking of a stove on the back burner. Or we put it on the shelf and say, we'll come back and get to it later when work is hits a certain point or later when I retire or when my kids reach a certain age or when they go off to college or they move out or we always have reasons of saying when this happens then I will do this. And as you will I know you would agree, right? That none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring and it's easy that the days of putting off become years. And God does not mean that for you. I want you today to dream big. You deserve it. I want you to dream. Last episode, I talked to you that you're more than enough and more. God has created you for something bigger than what you see in front of you. And this week, I am asking for you to dream big, vision big, and set your sights on a vision, on a dream. And then you can start back with what are the steps to make it happen. Because I'm going to tell you, when you're able to set your sights on other dreams than the job, then you're able to put your job in the right perspective that it's not the end. Now, for some, maybe that job is their end. But for many, it's not the end. There's more. You want more. And you want to understand that work is a mean, it is not an end. That's the key to the whole idea of work life balance is putting everything in the proper perspective. Dream big, sis. It's never too late to dream big. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about that importance of community. As you are doing your set shifting, you're pivoting to dreaming, to thinking big, to embracing yourself and loving yourself and fulfilling the purpose that God has created you for. So I look forward to you coming back next week and joining me for another episode of the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. Like, share, subscribe. I will see you next time. Be well. Love you much. Bye now.